Capital. Joining us today is Colleen Lyle of Trinity Stone Realty. Good morning.
Good morning, Annette.
Well, I'm curious because I feel like it is just an entirely different market at this point. How would you describe the Ottawa market today?
Okay. So how many years have we been doing this, Annette? We go back and forth, back and forth. And there's two things that Canadians love to talk about. One is the weather and two is real estate. And so we are hearing a lot of noise and a lot of information about real estate, and there's a little bit of the world is falling apart to stop panicking. And I'm at the stop panicking kind of deal. So the one thing that maybe our viewers probably don't know about me is the fact that I'm also a paid professional real estate coach, and I coach like all across the country. And so I hear different voices when I talk to different realtors. And when I talk to different realtors in different provinces, everyone has a different story, including here in Ontario. You know, the Cambridge market is different than Ottawa, right? A Nova Scotia market is different than Ottawa. So although the news has said, for sure, we have seen a price correction now, and we are seeing a little more balancing, the conversation that we were hearing so far is Canada-wide. And so just like back in grade school when we did averages, the Canadian market is being averaged. So there are some markets that are being hit harder than others.
Are we here in Ottawa? Like, how are we doing in this city?
Yeah. Ottawa is doing just fine. We have seen a price correction, and we have talked about in the past, Annette, how much the Ottawa market needed to see a correction, and the fact you could get a 4-bedroom, 4-bath home for $350, and it was kind of like where Ottawa is very affluent and can be. It's a government town. It's a high-tech town. We have been different than most of the country. So in this particular case, there are two things I want for people to keep in mind. We are coming out of pandemic. COVID will always exist. Yet people are finally like, woohoo, it's summer, and they're grabbing their bathing suits and they're going to the cottage and they're seeing people that they haven't been able to see. And even before COVID, before any, adjustments, always, always, always in real estate, July and August can get a little sleepy. So just because we are not seeing huge numbers right now, I am definitely, as a realtor, not in panic mode at all.
Okay, so to your point of what you just said, the Ottawa Real Estate Board released their analysis year over year for July sales, and they said that in Ottawa we saw a profound slowdown. So just to point out a few numbers, that was 2022 sales, so this past July last month, 1,100. In 2021, the difference, 1,718. So that's considerable difference in just a month. We typically see a slowdown, like you said, in the summer, but with prices still holding steady, why are homes not selling as fast? Why is it becoming a buyer's market versus a seller's market where we were a year ago? Because we're seeing those for sale signs staying on the lawns a lot longer. Yep. Why is that?
So to your point, there are two things that I would say. We are seeing a slowdown for two reasons, because people are starting to panic, and they are also, again, away on summer vacations. The other thing, to your point, Annette, is the fact that the market has slowed down, yet it's swinging more to what we all love, is a balanced market, not necessarily a buyer's market. Because depending on what price point you are at, we are still seeing, I personally have still seen this week and last week multiple offers. So it depends on the price range that you are at. The larger, more expensive homes are definitely slowing down. And where I would go to this next is directly addressing the seller's expectations in the fact that sellers have now expected that their home is going to go into multiple. They are expecting to get well over asking, and it is our job, it is our responsibility, and it is our dude like duty to actually explain to sellers now we have shifted and we are now in what I would refer to as a regular balanced market. So for those sellers out there going, oh, I'm going to sell this fall and I want 1.1 because last year my neighbor sold for 1.1, you might have shifted a little
Yeah.
into more of a expectation. And so have an honest conversation with your realtor because your realtor is there to guide you. You are not there to guide your realtor.
Yay. All right, Colleen, we were talking a little bit more about how the market has shifted. Let's talk about what sellers have to do and those expectations that they might not see those massive bidding wars anymore and over asking in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's changed. So what do you tell your sellers when you say, okay, let's sell your home. Here's what you can expect.
So Annette, good to your point, and I'm going to thank all my colleagues because despite what maybe some people think, I do, realtors speak to other realtors, and we have a Facebook group, and we talk to each other, and what was really important to them, and a lot of them said, for our audience today was to manage sellers' expectations. So yes. If you're looking to sell, let's go back to 3 years from today. That doesn't mean that you are getting less money. It just means you may get less of an audience. It may mean that you have to work a little bit harder in order to sell your home. So, for example, if I were selling my home today, heck, if I was selling Annette's home today, right? And she knows that she's not selling until February. Well, let's create a plan because a lot of people do not plan ahead. And so if you have a beautiful yard, if you have a backyard that shows really well, you might even have a pool. Take pictures, summer pictures now, right? Just before you lose your leaves or have to close the pool. I have just done 4 different photos for people who I know I'm not going to sell until March yet. We want to showcase the amount of beautiful landscaping and a couple of pools, etc. before then. Also, it is never too early, and we've talked about this, Annette. It is never too early to engage your realtor. So your realtor would tell you, even though it's easy to close a pool, maybe this is the year, if you know you're selling next year, to have it professionally closed.
Okay, let me ask you this, Colleen, sorry if I can, because we've talked about this before. What if you don't have a lot of time and you're not foreseeing that you're going to sell your house in the spring, but it suddenly springs upon you right now that, for example, you got another job in another city, you got to sell the house, you're under a little bit of a time constraint. What are the things you should be doing that will get you a good return? How much of an investment do you make? Do you just simply paint a few walls? Do you replace that roof? What helps you to get the best bang for your buck if you really only have a few weeks or maybe a month or two?
That's a great question. We actually just dealt with this in the Stittsville area. And so, again, engaging into a realtor, yet the typical conversations that we have is your kitchen clean and updated? Do you want to just simply put in a big box store kitchen in order? Because kitchens and baths still to this day are the biggest bang for your buck.
Okay.
Is your flooring, and the first thing that no matter whether it's spring, summer, or fall or winter, your front door matters. So if your front door is looking a little sad, our painting time is until about October. So maybe paint that front door. right? And as you mentioned, Annette, paint is the easiest Band-Aid for anything.
Yeah, and probably the most inexpensive, because do you
Yeah.
make a big investment in any way or as a seller, or is that likely to be lost? You're not going to see that money back in the sale.
Well, and this is again, and I feel, kind of like a broken record, yet, what I do when I know that people are like, we may not. I have someone who may be moving out of city in the next few weeks. What do? We paid for a stager to go with them so that they're ready when they're ready. It may be next month, it may be next year. Yet having a stager or engaging a stager yourself, and you're like, I'm not sure about my realtor, I'm not sure when I'm going, yet engage a stager yourself. They cost a couple $100 and they will allow you to limit the amount of cost that you have and yet show your home at the best of the ability. Also, as we know, trades right now are really hard to come by, really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, even I'm trying to do my primary bathroom, and I can't because I can't find a trade
Wow, yeah.
yet. So, so the great thing to do is again plan ahead because the stager may have contacts that we do not have, and this is something that we are seeing time and time again. Even builders are experiencing this in the lack of labor out there.
Wow. Yeah, a stager might even do something as simply as moving the furniture around in the room,
Yeah.
which can completely change the look of the room. That is maybe something you didn't see, but their professionalism, they have that eye for how to make a room look its best. Great advice.
Or removing furniture.
Or removing furniture, yeah, in a lot of cases, right? We tend to have more than what we need in a space, especially for selling. Directly to her, trinitystonerealty.com. Okay, so we talked a lot about this market today, Colleen, and really the big shift we've seen as of late. Let's talk about the importance of bringing in a realtor into the equation. A lot of people probably wanted to cash in, if you will, on what happened over the last year, where you could sell your house fast for a lot more money than you were even asking. And a lot of people probably saw the dollar signs cha-ching, right? And went out on their own. But there is always going to be some major benefits when you bring in a realtor into the equation.
Yeah, so it's funny because everyone gets caught up in the dollars and going to the interest rate hike conversation before we go into hiring a realtor. How many viewers out there have credit cards, and how many on the credit card is like 20% if you don't pay the full thing off, right? And so people are panicking right now about a slight interest hike when they're carrying 20% interest on their credit card. So think about that and the fact that real estate is an investment. It is the biggest investment that you will have. And why would you not gain professional advice? Just like a lawyer, just like an accountant, just like a doctor. And for realtors, we are here to help you. And there are realtors out there that put you forward. Hence, for myself, as many of your viewers know me, the fact is that our tagline is literally, you are our number one priority. We put our people forward first. So why is it important to engage a realtor? Because this is what we do for a living. I have sold thousands of homes in my career. How many homes have you sold? How much can I expand into the exposure for your home where people are like, well, my neighbor is looking to buy my home. That's great. And that might be easy for you. Yet, is that really the best number that you can get, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people are very afraid to engage a realtor because they're like, well, my neighbor approached me, some guy with a letter put it in my mailbox, and
Yeah.
he said he wanted to buy my home. Is that really the best price that you can get? Can we, because a lot of people, and I would say pretty much the majority of us, depend on the value of our home to move us to our next step.
Sure.
So why would you give up money if you would not engage a realtor to say, this is what you actually can get?
Some years ago, I worked with a realtor, and I thought it was fascinating. I mean, I think it was probably my first experience, and I was I was pleasantly surprised at the amount of research that you have to do, right? I mean, you compare all the homes that are like yours, and we had listed it at a certain price, and I thought, okay, this is a great price. But the home that was exactly like mine in a cookie cutter neighborhood, a few streets over, sold less. And so that difficult conversation had to be had. But he said, he explained to me that this is where the market is. It's not a matter of who's going to make what money, but the market sort of dictates how things are going to play out. And it was a real learning experience that you may value your home at. You think, we all think our homes are worth so much, right? We all think our homes are gems and should get a lot of money. But at the end of the day, it's what's happening around us in our community that's going to dictate really what our house is going to earn. And I thought it was interesting because had he not done all that research, I would have had no clue. But he did the research, and that's where the benefit of a realtor I found was really valuable. I didn't have the time to do it, and I wouldn't have known where to start. But he had all the numbers, all the data, everything in front of him, and it really made a difference. We made the adjustment to the price. Boom, we sold the house like that. And we were still very pleased at the end of the day.